This is the Nations Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show. You're reading that headline correct. Demonic sea lions linked to toxic algae. And if that picture is frightening to you, well, I'm sure it's probably invoking some memories of Plum Island's past, right? Because that's exactly what it looks like. You remember Plum Island, right? Which, of course, moved to Kansas, we're told, and now Plum Island is used so our government could practice cyber attack operations. But Plum Island, the Animal Disease Center, the place responsible for creating Lyme's disease and other airborne pathogens that they put inside of mosquitoes and then you get bit and then you suddenly get sick, right? All sorts of things are doing at Plum Island without our permission, but of course it's all in the name of Homeland Security, right? So that image looks a lot like something that would have been created at Plum Island. But clearly what we have going on here, according to our government and our government-controlled media, is demonic sea lions are getting sick and deranged from algae that is being found in the waters, right? Here's the story. Surfer attacked by the demonic sea lion amid toxic algal bloom in California. It was sick, its mind warped by this poison that was going through its system. So you can believe the story about toxic chemicals in the ocean, of course, for the environmentalists out there that actually believe it. They believe that, it's a toxic algae that suddenly appears in the ocean. And suddenly we have sea lions that are becoming demonic. Or, as I'll get into later in the video, all those stories about whales and dolphins pretty much offing themselves, swimming up on shore and dying, right? Because of course it doesn't have to do with the actual toxic algae. What this has to do with is offshore wind farms. Because those offshore wind farms can be very disrupting to sea life. It could, just like a human, it could make them go mad in a sense, right? Because these wind turbines give off electromagnetic frequencies, EMFs. The same EMFs that come from your microwave or come from your cell phone or come from those giant towers that nobody approved of that are all around us right now. EMF frequencies that, those frequencies can affect your health, just like it could affect the health of the wildlife. But we're supposed to believe that it's toxic algae. So here's the story that's being aired on national television about demonic sea lions.
Now to the West Coast, and the sea lions getting more aggressive. Experts blame the environment. Along the California coast, sea lions are getting poisoned by toxic algae, causing them to act in a way some describe as demonic. It comes amid a surge in the number of sea lions ingesting domoic acid, a neurotoxin within algae blooms, through the fish they eat.
We're seeing them look like they're stargazing. We're seeing some animals seem very, very sleepy, maybe right after having a seizure. They may be abnormally aggressive.
One man was surfing when he says a feral, almost demonic sea lion bit him and dragged him off his board, adding, "It was unlike anything I've ever seen in all the years I've been in the water." Marine biologists say the toxic algae bloom that usually forms every 4 to 7 years is forming more often due to warming temperatures and runoff pollution.
Now we're seeing an increase. Over the last 4 years, we've seen consecutive years of this harmful algal bloom off of our coast.
The Marine Mammal Care Center in San Pedro has taken in at least 146 sea lions since last month. Dolphins and seabirds also falling ill. This algae bloom, already described as worse than the one in 2023, blamed for more than 1,000 sea lion deaths. What can the public do? Experts say do your part to create a better environment for marine life.
Throwing away their trash, allowing anything toxic to go down the storm drain, because everything ends up back at the ocean.
Sea lions have a 50 to 65% survival rate if they get treatment right away.
So you gotta love how they're even showing you the algae in the water. Kind of looks a little bit like black goo. I guess more of a green goo, but maybe they injected some of these sea animals just like they injected humans with black goo a few years ago. Maybe it is causing them to go demonic because, of course, the frequencies that are being used. For people out there that don't know, frequencies are really the name of the game. Sound frequencies can influence brain activity and induce various mental states, with low frequencies potentially promoting relaxation, high frequencies potentially enhancing focus and alertness through the synchronization of neural activity. Or you could get really dangerous EMF frequencies that can literally give you anxiety, depression, cause you to be unhinged, right? Maybe even cause something like what we saw at that Travis Scott concert where frequencies were used on the audience. Remember that chaos that ensued that we saw the predictive programming beforehand with? The Travis Scott video is available on the website for anybody out there that wants to check it out. It's all about frequencies, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, Satan himself is known as what? Well, according to Ephesians chapter 2, verse 2, wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. The power of the air. All these things that are happening around us are all happening in the air. Things that you can't see with the visible eye, but you can see if you actually have devices that can show you electromagnetic frequencies all around us, right? But you can't see it with the naked eye. That's why nobody cares about those 5G towers. They care about the fact that they can't sleep, that they have depression, that they have anxiety, that they have all these feelings where they're mentally unstable or unhinged, right? They care about that, but when you tell them about the towers, they don't believe it because they can't see it. But if we actually could see the rays coming right out of those towers going right through your home, right to your head, or from your cell phone that are like microwave rays, well, then people would probably start paying attention. And of course, when we talk about the wind turbines, nobody talks about how dangerous these things are to the sea life, right? And nobody talks about NOAA either. You might remember NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. You know, the same NOAA who is responsible for getting us weather forecasts because, of course, they're predicting it, right? They're predicting it based on what they see. They could tell us what's coming in advance, right? Well, we can't control the weather, but they could tell us days in advance if it's going to rain or snow because of NOAA. And, of course, we all know that those NOAA towers, just like those HARP towers, actually are able to manipulate the weather, right? Well, NOAA has a lot of towers out to sea. Did you know that? That NOAA uses sonar and electromagnetic frequencies out in the ocean, just like those turbines. So there's obviously a lot of things going on at sea that people are paying attention to, but they can't figure out. So of course the government comes in and tells you that, well, it's because somebody flushed a toilet or somebody did what? Somebody had some Mountain Dew and threw it in the ocean. How do these toxic algae get in there? Well, then they blame it on what? Blame it on big companies, that, natural gas and oil. And oh yeah, we got to protect the environment when it's actually all of these devices that are using electromagnetic frequencies that are responsible for it. And for anyone out there that doesn't know, animals like marine animals, whales, dolphins, they use sonar called echolocation to navigate, right? That's how they find food. That's how they communicate. They emit sound waves. And when those sound waves are interrupted, well, you could really mess with the heads of some of these wildlife animals at sea. Remember the stories I've covered in the past? You want to see some of them? For anybody out there that's not familiar, okay, we had killer whales randomly attacking last year boats for nothing. We're not given an explanation. They're just saying, well, they're really aggressive. All these sea animals are becoming aggressive, right? Sea lions are attacking surfers, right? What, they don't want to hang 10? Is that what it is? What are they, from the East Coast, these sea lions? They're very anti-surfing? I mean, what's going on here, right? Oh, we can't really tell you. They're just eating things that they shouldn't be eating and normally wouldn't eat, but now they're eating it for no reason whatsoever. Well, what about the whales? What about the dolphins that are washing up at shore? Well, let's take a look at some of the other insane things that have happened over the last year or so, where they're trying to kind of poo-poo it and say, well, we don't know if those wind turbines are safe or not. Nobody's really studied it, right? Well, we get the same explanation when it comes to those 5G towers. Everybody who points it out, they go, well, science hasn't proven that it is dangerous. Oh, no, it has actually. They just pretend like they don't know that it's dangerous because they don't want the civilians to suddenly go tear down those towers. That's why you heard all the propaganda in the UK about people tearing down those towers, right? They constantly just tell you, well, we don't know. It hasn't been proven yet that it's dangerous until, of course, it's too late. But in fact, when the first cell phones came out, it was already proven that they were giving off dangerous levels of radiation and causing men who had a phone in their pocket not to be able to procreate and have babies, right? But here's some of the stories that are out there about the bizarre behavior of these sea animals or these sea creatures, and how, of course, we're all supposed to just look around and wait for the government to tell us that it's just some type of toxic algae, right?
cagare, pobrecita. Fíjense cómo está sangrando esa niñita. Oh, pobrecita. Mira allá. Mira. Mira, sabía, ¿viste que llegar? Mira aquella, pobrecita.
Mira, mira cómo sangra.
Pobrecita. No, no son delfines. Oh,
A group of orcas, better known as killer whales, they appear to be attacking and even sinking some boats off the coasts of Portugal and Spain.
The question this morning.
A British couple setting sail off the coast of Morocco when a group of killer whales started battering their boat. The orcas continuing the barrage for at least an hour. They managed to keep the 46-foot sailing yacht afloat, but just days later, another vessel was not so lucky. 3 killer whales struck the rudder and side of the sailboat, eventually causing it to sink as the Spanish Coast Guard rushed to the rescue. It's one of at least 3 boats that have sunk because of the orcas since last summer, and many more have been seriously damaged in the last 3 years. According to researchers, there were about 15 orca interactions when this began in 2020. Incredibly, that number has now ballooned into the hundreds by 2023.
An investigation tonight into what caused 8 dolphins to wash up on the Jersey shore in Sea Isle City. We told you yesterday how 2 were already dead when sea life officials pulled up on the scene. The remaining 6 were euthanized. Tonight, there's a deeper dive to figure out why those dolphins washed up and an effort to find out why marine life appears to be suffering off our coast. From our sister station, WPVI, here's Trish Hardman.
The images are heartbreaking. 8 common dolphins on the beach yesterday in Sea Isle City. People tried to help them with towels and buckets of water.
There was probably 50 dolphins just going back and forth all morning. And the next thing you know, we saw some coming straight in.
They washed up sometime before 11 a.m. between 50th and 52nd Streets. Officials with the Marine Mammal Stranding Center say 2 were dead. The other 6 were deteriorating quickly and were euthanized to prevent further suffering. It's been a very busy winter for strandings at the shore.
You hear every now and then where a beach would come up, but nothing like this past winter.
Nancy Valerio and many others wonder if offshore wind development is to blame. Energy company Ørsted says it recently completed survey work in January off the coast of New Jersey and doesn't have any site investigations happening now. An Ørsted official said today, quote, "The completed surveys did not involve sounds or actions that would harm whales or other marine mammals, and Ørsted contracted vessels have not experienced any whale strikes during offshore survey activity in the U.S. So far this year, there have been 7 whale strandings in New Jersey. That's more than all of 2022 and all of 2021. There have been 23 dolphin and porpoise strandings so far this year. In all of last year, there were 45. Marine life experts have said there are many possible explanations for the deaths: boat strikes, entanglements, and disease. Some politicians continue to call for a moratorium on offshore wind projects. NOAA has said there's no evidence linking the deaths to survey activities happening at wind farm sites, but the deaths are being studied as they're reported.
So clearly all we've seen over the last couple of years, and even in California, they have this new initiative where they're putting up lots of these wind turbines. They claim that there aren't many over in California, that they need to build these out. We know the East Coast is filled with it from Maine all the way down to New Jersey, even further down south, have these all lined up, okay? But we don't know how far out at sea they potentially can go. These things are all over the place because these things can be used for lots of different things, including weather modification. So these things are out in the middle of the ocean. They don't expect you to see it because what are you going to travel 100 miles out to sea with your boat? Probably not, right? And you're not going to see it from an airplane because you're going to be too high up. So they pop these things all over the earth. They're everywhere. That's why the behavior of all of these sea animals is so erratic and so not normal. So they have to give you an excuse, right? So the excuse is constantly, well, environmentalists are saying it's because of toxic waste and this and that. Meanwhile, where are these environmentalists to actually study the toxins that are getting sprayed on us every single day, right? I mean, I get it that these people care about, the sea animals. These, probably these people don't have families or anything. They're just very obsessed with the animals. That's great. Okay. Well, there's human beings like all of us, including the people who are caring about the sea animals, are getting aluminum and barium dumped on them every day. Don't see the environmentalists pointing out those chemtrails in the sky, do you? Of course not. Of course not. And then they blame it on big companies and they pretend like, they're the little guy. All these people just buy into this stuff, right? Why all of a sudden first of all, is this toxic algae all around the earth right now? Is that the reason for the whales going crazy, the dolphins washing up dead? No, of course not. This is just the specific propaganda being told in California because these things are completely unhinged and they're attacking people, but it's happening all around the earth. And it all started happening conveniently when they started putting up these wind turbines out in the middle of the ocean. But they don't want you to know that, right? Because if you realize the dangers of electromagnetic frequencies and everybody was walking around with an EMF reader, well, people would start saying, this is bad, that's bad, we got to get rid of this, we certainly can't have smart cities, right? And everyone would go, get rid of it, let's go backwards with technology, not forwards, because this is really bad for our health. This is causing cancer, this is causing Alzheimer's, causing dementia, right? Not to mention the stuff from the sky, which you don't need an EMF reader to read what's getting dumped on you from the sky. All you need are your eyes. When you see those fake clouds every morning and you look outside, it's a blue sky day, you go to the bathroom, you drop one, you come out, and all of a sudden your sky has streaks in it, right? Not the streaks, in the back of your underwear. I mean, we're talking streaks of chemicals in the sky that don't look like real clouds, right? Right. So this is just them again, hiding it. What people should really be doing is noticing the changes, right? If you actually just stay alert, right? We talk about frequency, so stay alert. Stay in a state of mind where you're paying attention to stuff. You're not allowing yourself to be lulled to sleep. And then the news, you turn on, it programs you, right? You got to you got to stay in an alert state of mind so you can pay attention to everything going on. So when you see things like, okay, all of a sudden there's all these animals, like I just showed you, in the sea. They're all unhinged, right? They've all lost it, right? What are they, all libs? I mean, what's going on? Oh, right. All of a sudden they're all crazy. And what happened at the same time? Oh, wind turbines. So was pollution around 20 years ago? Apparently it was, they claim. So why wasn't this happening 20 years ago? Were these turbines at sea around 20 years ago? No, they weren't, right? Because they don't want you to realize how dangerous EMFs are. Because if you realize how dangerous they are, and everybody was notified of this every day on the news, and they said, we're going to mail every person an EMF reader. So you can walk around, you can find appliances, devices that might be giving off these dangerous, harmful frequencies, and you could get rid of them out of your home and see how your health might start you might benefit from it. Your health might get better, right? That's what, a government would do, and that's what they should want, and that's what people should be doing, right? But that would obviously remove this whole new world order. It would remove smart cities because everybody would realize how dangerous the frequencies are. And of course, try to make people who are environmentalists or obsessed with animals aware of this stuff. Maybe they'll start caring more because a lot of those people don't seem to care about humans. They care more about animals, which of course has been done by design too. Maybe they'll start saying, hey, all these animals are, affected by these wind turbines, because it's usually the environmentalists are Democrat libs, right? So they love the wind turbine because they're told it's clean energy, right? So they don't want to believe it. They're like, oh, I can't be doing that stuff. It can't be. It's got to be somebody, somebody went and got antifreeze and dumped it in the ocean. And now all of a sudden the sea lions are, black-eyed demons that are attacking surfers' legs like we're watching Jaws or something, right? It's all about frequencies. When you see stuff like this, start thinking to yourself, well, why would it be happening? Why all of a sudden? Why is it everywhere? It's not just off California, as I showed you. It's all around, right? So is this same algae everywhere in the ocean around the earth right now, right? What, did some guy just get a tub of this and dump it in the Atlantic, dump it in the Pacific, and then he was like, I'm going to enter the Mediterranean. I'm going to dump it out there too, right? And somehow the salt water isn't able to dispense that. I mean, come on. The stories they give are ridiculous. Electromagnetic frequencies are the most dangerous thing. EMF frequencies are the most dangerous thing, other than probably some of the chemtrails or other poisons they put in our foods, that's going on in the world right now. And it's the cause of all of the stuff they talk about in regards to mental health, depression, and everything else, like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. All these things are from them and what they're doing to us. And they don't expect you to ask questions because they automatically will flag stuff and say, oh, anything about a 5G tower is a conspiracy, right? And then you look it up and it's like, oh, scientists don't know. Oh, you don't know. So we don't know, and then we're allowing you to put all these things up that we don't know if they're safe or not. That sounds great. Let's put them on top of the schools, right? I mean, it's unbelievable what we allow them to get away with. But the propaganda machine obviously has these people confused, dumbed down, and believing whatever they're told through the manufactured, scripted news. So demonic sea lions, folks, you tell me. You tell me, are they eating algae or are they getting hit with frequencies, right? I mean, maybe, like I said, maybe they just went out there and jabbed some of them with that black goo, venom, right? Maybe that's what's in them. I mean, come on. I thank everybody out there for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families, as always.